Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Premier League Live for our Monday night game here on LFS as Bournemouth take on Fulham in this one in the Premier League. Two sides that might have an outside chance of European football come the end of this season, and we'll see how far they can get this evening in a big game that could be a six-pointer come the end of the campaign. Good evening, welcome in for this one here on LFS, our final game of Matchday 32, and after yesterday's drama and Saturday's drama as well, it is set to be a very exciting affair this evening. Great to have you with us for this one. Before we get into the action tonight, we're going to talk about the race for Europe, what way that's built out after Newcastle's big victory over Manchester United yesterday. And of course other results over the weekend and what that means for the race for Europe. We'll talk about that as well as some big news that's come in this afternoon, and we're going to bring you that to you now. That's come in the last hour or so. Of course, Eddie Howe, the Newcastle manager, was hospitalised on Friday before his side's game against Manchester United at St James's Park yesterday. But Newcastle have given us an update and a statement this evening, which reads: Newcastle United can announce that Eddie Howe is recovering in hospital after being diagnosed with pneumonia. The club continues to extend its best wishes and support to Eddie and his family as he continues his recovery. Jason Tindall and Graham Jones will lead the team against Crystal Palace and Aston Villa this week, with further updates to be communicated in due course. Eddie Howe has said a huge thank you to everyone connected with Newcastle United and the wider football community for your messages and warm wishes. They have meant a lot to me and my family. I also want to pay tribute to our incredible NHS and the hospital staff who have treated me. I'm immensely grateful for the specialist care I am receiving, and after a period of recovery, I look forward to being back as soon as possible. So he will miss the next two games on the touchline, Eddie Howe, and we wish him the very, very best in his recovery, and a speedy one at that here at LFS. It is the big news of the afternoon, and it just dropped around about an hour ago. We had to, of course, update you on that information and what that all means, of course, because Newcastle are in a big position. They're in the race for Europe, which is a very good segue for what we're going to talk about now, and that race for Europe, because of course these two sides we watched tonight, Bournemouth and Fulham, might still have an outside chance, and we're going to focus a little bit more on Fulham this evening. But let's start and show you what the race for Europe looks like. This is the way the table is tonight, before Fulham play this evening and after Newcastle's win over Manchester United yesterday. So this is how it stands. Newcastle with a game in hand over the teams in and around them, as they will play that on Wednesday night against Crystal Palace. They have moved up into the top five, have now Newcastle into fourth, a point behind third place Nottingham Forest, and still might have an eye upon Arsenal in second on 63 points. They're not out of the realms of possibility of being caught by Newcastle, who could move to 59 points and jump up to third with a win against Palace on Wednesday night. Man City dropped down to 5th. They're on 55 points. Chelsea outside the top 5 now on 54 after their draw with Ipswich yesterday, 2-2 at home. They were 2-0 down in that game, Chelsea. And Aston Villa, big win away at Southampton on Saturday, and that gets them back in the mix for Europe, and maybe back in the mix for Champions League qualification places. But there are three teams that aren't in the top 7 at the moment, but might still have a sneaking suspicion that they could sneak their way towards the European spots. Now, of course, there are all those teams, as you see above them, 3rd to 7th, they're all on on 50-odd points. Fulham, in 8th, we watched tonight, are on 48 points. Now, they, of course, still have to play this week. They win this evening, they will go on to 51 points, but the big talking point is why they're interesting and intriguing is because they play Chelsea in 6th the game after tonight. So if they win tonight, Fulham, they could have a chance to go level on points with Chelsea if they beat them when they play them at the weekend. Brighton on 48 points, and then we go to Bournemouth, who we don't have on that list there on that table, but they're on 45 points. They could go up to 48 with a win against Fulham tonight. But if you think Bournemouth are going to win tonight, you would feel that those three teams, Fulham, Brighton and Bournemouth, might just be too much for them to try and catch the teams above them. Right, so that is the way the race looks. Let's show you what the chances Opta have predicted. What the chances of qualification for the Champions League are for all of the teams that we remain in the conversation with any sort of slim or big chance. Man City leading the charge, 84.1%. Of a Champions League finish. Newcastle and 83.7. Now you may wonder why Arsenal and Liverpool are not there. They are both 99% or above. Arsenal and Liverpool almost guaranteed Champions League places. Forest on 73.5, which is down quite a bit after this weekend's defeat of Everton, at home. So they are down to 73.5%, but still very much favoured for a top 5 position. Chelsea a long way back, 28.1. After their draw with Ipswich. Aston Villa, though, with their big win away at Southampton, still only 27.3% chance of a Champions League place, maybe considering their fixtures. Fulham, 2.8% chance, but that might increase if they win this evening, because they would get themselves right back into the mix. And Brighton and Bournemouth have a combined chance of 0.6% of either of those two teams finishing in the top 5. But that also might change depending on tonight's result. Right, we will, of course, talk about Fulham a little bit more detail, but we've kind of run out of time at the minute. 3 minutes until kickoff. We've got a big football match to focus on. It's Bournemouth against Fulham. We'll have the team news in just a second. Let's have a look at the two teams then. Bournemouth against Fulham tonight at the Vitality Stadium. A Bournemouth side starting with Kepa in goal. A back four of Adam Smith, the captain. Marcus Senesi starts at centre-back alongside birthday boy Dean Howson, who turns 20 today, and Milos Kerkez at left-back. Into midfield, Lewis Cook is joined alongside Tyler Adams, with in the 10 role Alex Scott further forward. Antoine Semenyo off the right-hand side, Dango Ouattara off the left, and Evan Nielsen leads the Bournemouth line. On the bench for the Cherries tonight, Dennis, Soler, Araujo, Hill, Zabarnyi, Brooks, Tavernier, Winterburn and Jebison. For Fulham, after their big victory over Liverpool last week, the only side to beat Liverpool at home this season. Liverpool's only away defeat of the campaign. Leno starts in goal. A back four of Timothy Castagna, Joachim Anderson, Calvin Bassey and Anthony Robinson at left back, who captains the side. In midfield, Sasa Lukic and Sander Berger, with Andreas Pereira further forward. Ryan Sessegnon starts on the right hand side, Alex Iwobi off the left, and Rodrigo Muniz, who scored that beautiful goal against Liverpool last week, he leads the Fulham line. On the bench, for the Cottagers, Benda, Tete, Cuenca, Reid, Kearney, Smith-Rowe, Willian, Traore and Jimenez. Two sides that might still have an outside chance of Europe. You never know. Never count them out until it's mathematically done. It's Bournemouth against Fulham at the Vitality under the lights on a Monday night. Kickoff is next. A very good evening. Welcome to Premier League Live. This evening with me, Kevin Ferris, your commentator and presenter for tonight's stream. And we're looking forward to this one. Bournemouth against Fulham. As I said, two sides that really you might feel they're outsiders at the very best. But you never know. Fulham win tonight. They could get a good run of form and a decent run of form against their West London rivals Chelsea recently. You never know. They could be right back in the mix if they build up two very good results this week. That's how quickly it can change. And let's see if either of them can get off to a quick start this evening, as all the players take a knee in saying there is no room for discrimination or racism in Premier League football or anywhere in the world. As we get underway then, Bournemouth in their home strip of black and red shirts with black shorts, and Fulham in their home strip this evening of white shirts and black and red shorts. You'd think that would be a kick clash, but when you look at it, it's very much not a kick clash. Very easily discernible, these two teams. And in terms of the league table, it's actually quite the opposite. Very close in terms of the league table, of course. And I think Andoni Iraola said pre-match as well, these two teams have been coming up against each other for the last number of years and battling for league positions together. as Muniz tried to chest the ball into the box there. As Alex Scott picking up a loose ball here for Bournemouth now, trying to spring a counter. That's well covered over by Robinson, although he gives it away. And Semenyo's broke through, and Semenyo! And Bournemouth take the lead inside the first minute. A mistake by Anthony Robinson in the back allows Antoine Semenyo to nip it away and finds the back of the net for Bournemouth. Beautiful goal. But Anthony Robinson, the Fulham captain, they benefited from defensive errors last week, Fulham. They're causing their own this week. And it's all from one of their own attacks, really. It's Timothy Castagna. Horrible ball across the centre of midfield. Although Fulham should do better. They've got 6 players back against the 3/4 of Bournemouth. They should really outnumber them easily. But it's a poor mistake, poor control by Anthony Robinson trying to track back. He ends up making a touch, but the touch works out perfectly for Antoine Semenyo, who beats in, steps to the edge of the box, dribbling his way through, gets onto his left foot and just rifles the ball into the back of the net down the left-hand side. No chance for the keeper. It's a mistake, and an early mistake to give away, and an early goal to concede. Bournemouth 1, Fulham 0. Well, there we are. It's a lovely goal by Antoine Semenyo. And it's great anticipation as well. You know, we talk about the best strikers and the best goal scorers always anticipate mistakes from the defender. And that was the perfect thing for Antoine Semenyo to do there. Anticipate that Anthony Robinson wasn't going to get it, wasn't going to make a perfect defensive claim, and that he didn't. And Antoine Semenyo was there to say thank you very much and take his goal. The Ghanaian, the 25-year-old Ghanaian, Antoine Semenyo, his 8th Premier League goal of the season for Bournemouth. His first Premier League goal since a 5-0 victory over Nottingham Forest back on the 25th of January. So he's been waiting for that one, and he was gifted a very nice one, albeit he still had a bit of work to do. But he did make it happen and got his 8th Premier League goal of the season. What a start for Bournemouth. You know, we talk about maybe them needing a little bit of luck, a little bit of help along the way, and maybe hoping that they can have an outside chance of Europe, with themselves already being 3 points behind Fulham. They start the night a good 9 points, I believe it was. Yeah, 9 points off top 7, Bournemouth in 10th. So a win tonight would help them, but you would feel they would still need a little bit more help if they were to have try and find their way into European football, which for a while actually looked really realistic in that sense. It really looked possible, but a few bad results. They actually haven't won a Premier League game since they beat Southampton on the 15th of February, almost 2 months without a Premier League win for Bournemouth. And their only win in that time was in an FA Cup game against Wolves, where they won on penalties. They haven't won a game in 90 minutes since that Southampton game back in mid-February, which is quite shocking for how high Bournemouth were and how high-flying they were just a number of months ago. And they are conceding quite a lot recently. It's actually 5 games on the bounce. They've conceded 2 goals in each game. As Iwobi tries to deliver a ball in there for Fulham to respond. But again, Bournemouth risky on the counter. And Scott lays it off beautifully. Evan Nielsen feeds Scott down the right-hand side. Scott goes for the deep cross, but no one in the middle there for Bournemouth to cause any sort of threat to Bernd Leno, the Fulham goalkeeper. But tonight could be one of those nights for Bournemouth where they could reignite their hopes. You know, it's not the easiest run of form to the end of the season, but, you know, tonight at home against Fulham, then they head to Palace at the weekend. Those are 2 games you would think, if Bournemouth are going to try and chase Europe, they need to win those games. Then they host Man United here a week later than that. That's a possible win, especially being at home. You never know. And then they've got Arsenal, Villa and City back to back to back, which is really tough. But if you want to really compete in Europe, you need to be competitive and you need to start raking a couple of wins in. Certainly towards the end of the season if you're trying to rescue it. And I think Bournemouth need a win tonight and then try and back that up with a win against Palace at the weekend, and they could very much get themselves right back into the conversation. But again, they need to do the business before they can be put back in that conversation. I remember we've been doing the Race for Europe graphics for a good number of weeks now, and Bournemouth were on that list for a good number of weeks, but they've fallen out because we don't go down to 10th. I think we did once go down to 10th, and that was just because there was such a kind of clattering of all the teams. They were all so close, all of the teams, and now there's a little bit of a gap. You kind of have to go, well, 10th, is that really a chance? But Bournemouth need to get themselves back into that conversation. They've started really well here, because here's Evan Nielsen in the box, trying to add a second! As the ball comes across, it ends up being, well, seen out by the Fulham defence there, as Sasa Lukic comes away with the ball here, and wins a free kick there for Fulham. They've actually started really strongly, have Bournemouth. Really strong, a lot of good energy. And that's one thing that kind of has been thrown at them, is the fact they have been a little bit lethargic at times in the last number of weeks. And they haven't shown that energy and intensity that we've seen from Bournemouth all season. And what had them chasing for possible Champions League football this season at one point. So here's Adams. Again, good intensity in the midfield there from Tyler Adams, but just that time the ball was well away from Antoine Semenyo. And a goal kick will come the way of Fulham. Yeah, it's really, really good goal. I mean, from a Fulham point of view, Marco Silva should and will be absolutely furious with how his team have defended this goal, because it's a 6-on-3. They've Fulham have 6 players back against the 3 forwards of Bournemouth, and they still get somehow outrun, completely beaten. And it all becomes because Anthony Robinson tries to stretch for the ball. He kind of is off balance. He doesn't get the ball. Gets a slight nick, which allows Antoine Semenyo in behind, and there's no one in cover. But when you have that many players back, you need to be doing so much better to even deny the chance of Semenyo getting on the end of a mistake. Just to have that cover, just in case. Especially so early in a game of football. There's a long way to go. That's the one positive, to be fair. They've conceded in the first minute, but they've got 89 minutes to try and make up for the goal, and the mistake they've given away is Sessegnon tried to break into the box there. Battling to win it back off Milos Kerkez. And in the end gives away a free kick, does the Fulham right winger. Yeah, it's not a great header by Dean Howson to clear his lines, and Sessegnon on the edge of the box trying to break through. It's good covering by Milos Kerkez to win the ball back and then wins the free kick. Of course, Milos Kerkez and Dean Howson both being watched closely by some of the clubs that feel they will be in the Champions League next season. Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City probably knocking around, having a few questions. And you can't blame them for the season that Bournemouth were having. You know, there was no question they were going to have some players closely watched by what you would call the traditional top 6 teams, or the traditional teams that sit in those European spots. I think it was Marco Silva that said the top 6 is well and truly dead. And I think to an extent he's right in that factor. That's a lovely ball. Evan Nielsen. Oh, well blocked out there by Anderson. As now Fulham want to spring a counter. Sessegnon down the right hand side up against Kerkez. Sessegnon working his way into the box. Still dribbling his way through. Gets to the byline cross. Cleared away by Senesi. And then there's going to be a foul on Dango Ouattara there from Timothy Castagna, which again is going to get Bournemouth a free kick. Yeah, it was a good breakaway by Fulham on the counter. Good run down the right side by Sessegnon. Gets to the byline. Tries to fizz across through the 6-yard box. It is well dealt with by Marcus Senesi in the end. And eventually Bournemouth get out of trouble. But there is a few glimpses of Fulham trying to battle back into this game after going behind so early. Something like 54 seconds when Antoine Semenyo scored. Will be one of the quickest goals of the season. Won't be the quickest, but it will be one of. Adams was looking to control it. Tried to pass it first time, which dispossesses him. And now here's Robinson. Lukic turning to Pereira. Now Sessegnon. Again, trying to find the underlapping run of Castagna. And Bournemouth steal it away, and now there's a little bit of space. That's well covered over by Sanderberg, covering that right back position. As Ouattara was trying to find a run through the defence there. Beautiful switch ball out to Robinson on the overlap. Whips the ball in, took a deflection off Adam Smith, and it will be a corner to Fulham. Again, that's where their threat is. With that overlapping run of Anthony Robinson. He's incredible at it. 10 Premier League assists this season for Anthony Robinson. He is a real goal threat and a real threat down that left-hand side for Fulham. And gives them such an outlet to get out of trouble defensively, but also obviously creating chances. And he's got them a corner here. Right-footed delivery. Cleared away at the front post by Smith, who conceded the corner. And he's going to concede a throw-in now on the left-hand side. We will analyse Fulham at half-time. We did have a graphic done about their upcoming fixtures. And as I did, I think it was Newcastle. I think I did a couple of weeks ago. We watched them on the Monday night. And I kind of analysed their level of fixtures between kind of 1, 2 and 3. 3 being the hardest, 1 being the perceived easiest. And I got to say, Fulham are not got an easy set of fixtures to come in terms of their level of difficulty. But there's a lot of winnable ones. You know, there's a lot of opportunities there for Fulham if they can take this one tonight. But at the same time, it can go very wrong if they don't find themselves in the right headspace and the right frame of mind going into those games. Here's Semenyo. Scott. Semenyo again down the right side for Bournemouth. Already got himself on the score sheet. Antoine Semenyo. Cook. Ouattara finding Kerkez on the overlap. This time Milos Kerkez couldn't make anything of it. Goal kick to Fulham. Again, so far, neither side is looking to defend. Neither side is looking to sit back. Both are trying to go for it, which we want to see. We want to see two sides fired up tonight, you know. Fired up to try and win games of football. It's got to this point of the season. If they're going to do something, if they're going to be in Europe, they need to make a stand tonight. Tonight is going to be the kind of the first look as to maybe either of these two sides, are they capable of making that fight? And so far, we're seeing two sides willing and eager to get into the final third of the opponent. Smith under pressure. Lovely ball by Iwobi, taken nicely. Gives it back to Castagna, which can get Fulham out of a little bit of a press. I have to actually go backwards. Anderson, Leno, and Calvin Bassey. Again, Fulham just not able to let it stick at the moment. Bournemouth just there every time they try and play that ball into an attacking area. Not really seen very much of their attackers so far, and that's credit to Bournemouth's pressing in these early moments. Ouattara tried to spin behind Castagna, but the Fulham man had it covered and was very aware of what Dango Ouattara was trying to do. again, not able to hold the possession at the minute. Well, as it stands, if Bournemouth do win this game, they would jump up above Fulham in the table, would go up to 8th because of their superior goal difference to the team they face tonight. And they would really get themselves positionally back in the conversation. Here's Kerkez lifting into the box, back post, the header across, and Evan Nielsen's at the crossbar. A bit of a let-off and a bit of luck going Fulham's way. But with the way Bournemouth have played so far, you would probably say they're unfortunate not to be further ahead. And very unfortunate that Evan Nielsen couldn't add to his tally he has already racked up this season in Premier League goals. As Fulham want to respond quickly here. Lukic, Pereira. Right to the left-hand side for Robinson. Back inside to Berger. Lukic to Robinson. Well, that is a massive moment in this game. Evan Nielsen missing a gilt-edged chance. Striking right through the ball, but it took so much height. Just comes crashing off the crossbar. Here's Iwobi, edge of the box, Iwobi. Well charged down by Adams, but Castagna again giving the ball away cheaply in the final third. This time Ouattara has very few options. Has to turn back to Milos Kerkez. Under pressure himself here, Kerkez, by Sessegnon. And in the end, I think it comes for a goal kick. Let's just see this a chance again. Really nice play down the left side. It's Evan Nielsen that starts the move. He gets the ball out wide to Kerkez, who whips it round the back post. Headed back across goal by Scott. And then it comes falling down for Evan Nielsen. And I think he hits it on the half volley, which just carries it. The sheer pace of it just sees it skying and crashes off the crossbar. I mean, my goodness. It's close. Very, very close. And actually, the 21st time that Bournemouth have hit the woodwork this season, the most of any Premier League side. They are not too unaccustomed to hitting the post or the crossbar this season, Bournemouth. Averaging one every game and a half at this rate, which is mental. That might be a turning point, though. We talk about sliding doors moments. That might be one of those where if Bournemouth had went 2-0 up, you would really just feel they would settle and they would really favour themselves to go on and just cruise their way to victory. But at 1-0 and missing that chance, not getting that goal, might just reignite Fulham and maybe give them the kick up the backside they probably need for the start they've had to this game. They've just struggled to kind of get any real rhythm in their attack and play so far, Fulham. And Rodrigo Muniz stopped in his tracks there by Dean Huyson. But Huyson penalised for his challenge and a free kick to Fulham. Of course, Dean Huyson, as I said, turns 20 today. Born in 2005. He's younger than me. There we are. Lovely. Ball into the box. The header is straight into the hands of Kepa. It was Joachim Andersen that got the header. See it again. Nice right-footed delivery by Pereira. Andersen got up, got the clean header on it, headed it towards the ground. And Kepa could just simply gather as it bounced back up into his hands. Didn't have much pace behind it from Joachim Andersen there. He got the direction right. And he just didn't have the pace to take it past the Bournemouth keeper, or really test him at all in that sense. I think Kepa looked completely unfazed by that free kick. As Marcus Senesi was down there for a second or two. He is back to his feet and okay to continue. There's a Good list of injured players for Bournemouth, including that man there, Justin Kluivert's amongst them. One of the most influential in this Bournemouth side is Justin Kluivert's. I gotta say, personally, I just absolutely love watching Justin Kluivert. When he does play, he's absolutely fantastic. And when he plays in that alongside the rest of the front three of Bournemouth, when they're a front four and are really kind of rhythmic and they're in their momentum, that front four, they are unstoppable. They are absolutely world class. And maybe it just shows you that there is a little difference there. You know, obviously, I mean, it's comparing chalk and cheese. No offence to Alex Scott, but the way Justin Kluivert has played this season in that 10 role, it's just reinvigorated Bournemouth and absolutely revolutionised them in an attacking sense. And his creativity, his skill, his quality on the ball, his close control in between the lines, it's those little things that turn out to be the most important things when you want to sustain attacks and you keep pressure on the opponent and make yourself a tricky player in between the lines, that defences don't know whether to push and press you, or midfielders are being pushed back, and you're causing that kind of miscommunication and causing chaos in between the lines of the opponent. And that's where Justin Kluivert thrives. And this season, I mean, he's been revolutionary for Bournemouth in the positive times that they've had this season, and there's been many of them. They've had some wonder games this campaign. The 5-0 against Nottingham Forest would certainly be up there, no doubt about it. No doubt about it whatsoever, but maybe his impact really felt so far tonight. Bournemouth are seeming to deal with Justin Kluivert not being on the field at the minute. 22.5 minutes gone. Bournemouth 1, Fulham 0. Again, I think I expected a little bit more from Fulham in response to going behind. I think, you know, if we compare tonight to the Liverpool game, again, it's nowhere near the same type of opponent, but it's a similar situation. They went 1-0 down early in the game against Liverpool, but the difference in that one is they come back with a bit of energy, a bit of fight, a bit of desire for them to come back into the game, and maybe Liverpool kind of gave them a helping hand in that, defensively being really poor last week, but they capitalised upon those moments. Tonight, just seeing Fulham wilt a little bit, and they haven't really bounced back just yet from going behind. I don't know whether they're a bit shell-shocked at going behind so early, and that's kind of damaged their confidence a little bit so early in the game, and it's just kind of given that Bournemouth that little bit of a boost in these early moments. But yeah, a bit disappointed with how Fulham have responded going behind, considering, as I said, how they responded last week against Liverpool going behind. So yeah, a little bit more work for Marco Silva's side to do if they want to try and get themselves back into this game at this moment in time. I did mention, actually, the referee, Michael Oliver, this evening for this one. Our VAR, of course, VAR with semi-automated offsides now. Their VAR is Jared Gillett this evening. So, Michael Oliver, the referee, Jared Gillett, the VAR. And if there are, I'll let you just know, if there are any kind of semi-automated offside moments where they do the graphic, the kind of animation of showing you who's offside, we will try our very best to get that animation on your screen and show you the evidence of the offsides, because of course we can't show the gameplay, but we could show a still shot of that animation, of course, and we will try and do that as best as we can for you, if any of those certain moments happen to arise, because they're not going to be used for the rest of the season in the Premier League, semi-automated offsides, and probably hopefully for the next number of seasons. As Cook's free kick, it's fallen nicely for Scott, and the ball fell to Evan Nielsen. The flag stayed down. There's cries of handball. It will be a corner. It was a deflection. They were calling handball. Michael Oliver feels it wasn't. It was just a deflection. Let's see it again. Evan Nielsen. Shot taken. Yeah, it's never handball. It does come off Timothy Castagne's arm, but it's right here. It's never a penalty, and Michael Oliver clearly spotted it. Never a penalty, that one. Not in a million years should that be given. And it will be a corner to Bournemouth, though. Again, they made the nice work of that second phase of the free kick. Delivery didn't work out, but they made the most of the half clearance from Fulham. Now they've got a corner. Right-hand side. Left-footed delivery. Whipped into the box. Header down. Adams flicked it over the top. Will be another corner because it took a deflection off a Fulham player as Adams hit it. See it again. Whipped into the box. Headed down by Howson and Munith there. The combination of both. And as it fell, Tyler Adams had a shot deflected over the bar and out for another corner. Yeah, another decent spell at the minute here from Bournemouth. One they'll want to capitalise and get a goal from. Kerkez, left-footed delivery. Again, cleared away. The second phase, Cook hits it well wide. Yeah, he didn't have the direction on that one. Didn't have the accuracy on the shot. Again, it's good high whip delivery by Kerkez. It's a real nightmare for defenders from that sort of looping position to try and get any sort of direction to head it clear. And to be fair to Fulham, they did get it. And then in the second phase again, the second ball, it was Lewis Cook trying to follow up with a clean strike, but got nowhere near enough accuracy on it. Hit it well wide. But again, another decent spell from Bournemouth where they're on top. They feel they're in control. They feel they've got Fulham just where they want them. And all they're waiting for is try and find a second goal. Fulham are really nowhere at the moment in terms of their rhythm and their momentum in this game. It's a nice step in by Cook. Now the space for Smith. Finding Scott. Now Evan Nielsen spinning off the front line. Ouattara tried to squeeze it through for Kerkez. Well blocked by Sessegnon, who was tracking back there. Now Pereira backheels it into space for Sander Berger, who's got a free couple of yards ahead of him. And he's got no options, and he's going to get the free kick because he was absolutely clattered into by Tyler Adams there. I mean, it might be a little bit smart from Tyler Adams to give that foul away, but in my opinion, it didn't look like he had any options, to be fair to him. He looked like he was going nowhere with that one. Yeah, no, I think that's a foul. There was a hint of maybe the argument of maybe he slipped into the Bournemouth players, but I'm not having any of that shit. It's a foul. Free kick taken then. Lukic has a bit of space, breaking forward here. Into the box. Fires it into Sessegnon's feet. Well cleared away by Adams and then followed up by Senesi. And Ouattara trying to dribble his way past Castagna, but again well closed out by the Belgian. And now here's Sander Berger. Trying to find Sessegnon on the spin. But Senesi has that one seen off. And easily seen back to his goalkeeper. I mean, Sessegnon's actually claiming he was fouled here. Nah. Not a lot of contact in there for me. He tried to spin around the Bournemouth man and he actually spun into him. Really, it's not foul. It's good defending, I would say, from Marcus Senesi, who's back in the side this evening in the Bournemouth defence. The Argentinian. He has played the last number of games. It's his fourth appearance since returning from injury, that long injury that had him out from late November until late March. Made his first appearance back in the FA Cup quarter-final defeat to Man City. Has now played 3 Premier League games in a row. Marcus Senesi come off the bench in the 2-1 defeat against Ipswich. And of course came off the bench against West Ham. So his first Premier League start this evening since returning from injury. And so far has done a decent job at the back. Hasn't been asked too many questions. Oh, goodness. Commentators curse at its finest there. He's made an awful mistake. And Munith couldn't capitalise. Couldn't take the chance when it fell into his lap. I mean, the two Bournemouth centre-backs there. What is going on? Dean Howson and Marcus Senesi. Just as I was praising Senesi, they come up with something like that. Neither of them went for it, and then they both went for it. I mean, if there's any way to not communicate as a centre-back partnership, there's the prime example. I mean, what in the holy good Jesus Christ is that? Neither of them go for it, and then they wait a second, and then they both try and win the ball. I mean, somebody talk. They get away with it, though, because Rodrigo Muniz absolutely sliced it. And now they're in the box here. Ouattara! Blocked and deflected and cleared away. They got away with that one. Senesi's made another mistake with a header. And Pereira's in behind now. And he's still going. Senesi dragged away. Pereira chopping his way back. Senesi on his backside. And Sessegnon on the spin. And again blocked. And Berger blocked. Still alive here. Adams trying to wrestle. A lot of bouncing in the box. And the shot from Sessegnon is easily caught by Kepa. My goodness, Bournemouth have really rattled themselves in the last 2 minutes. Complete and utter calamitous defending all round from Bournemouth there. It's just really awful. Really awful. But they get away with it. Again, the lack of clinical edge from Fulham and not taking those chances certainly denied them a chance to be back level, at least in this game of football. But it will give them confidence. Here's Sander Berger. Lukic now with space out to the left side. Iwobi trying to cross it, blocked by the right leg of Alex Scott, and deflects behind for the Fulham corner. Well, if there's a moment where Bournemouth need to just settle, it's now. And if there's a moment where Fulham need to latch on to try and get back into the game, it's these last 2 or 3 minutes. Because Bournemouth have looked absolutely rattled. And it all came from absolutely nothing, really. Here's another corner, left-hand side. The first one was dealt with at the front post. Right-footed, a bit more height behind this one. Back post, and the header by Muniz is caught by Kepa. Again, decides to completely avoid the front post. Back post it goes from Pereira. And the header from Rodrigo Muniz down into the ground and caught comfortably by Kepa Arrizabalaga in the Bournemouth goal. Needs just a bit of composure from Bournemouth. Just need to settle themselves a little bit more. They have kind of faltered in these last few minutes. And their centre-backs far from convincing in terms of their temperament. And their communication skills definitely has been lacking. And was lacking for a couple of those moments that Fulham were trying to find something from, but failing to do so. But Bournemouth will be happy that they've come through that little moment, they hope. And they still lead at Fulham, which is the crucial moment and the crucial point to make. That's a lovely spin by Ouattara. Couldn't find the ball to Evan Nielsen, but a lovely spin away from his defender first off. And Fulham a little panicked there. Here's Scott. Feeds it wide to Semenyo. Still positives remain as they overlap from Smith. And Smith still going against the cross, which deflects behind for a Bournemouth corner. That's what a captain should be doing. Getting his team a little bit of confidence and giving them something to fight for up the field. And Adam Smith has certainly done that for Bournemouth. Driving down the right side on the overlap. Getting to the byline and forcing a cross, which is then deflected for the corner. Bournemouth just need to settle themselves again. Get themselves back in firm grip of this game. With 10 minutes to go of the first half, they still lead by a goal to nil. Corner on this right side. Kirkez, left-footed delivery. The header by Bassi is behind for another corner. But I think he was remonstrating with the referee about maybe being pushed in the process there. But Will be another Bournemouth corner. This time on the left-hand side. And this time Lewis Cook, it looks like, is going to come over and take this one for the Cherries. Cook goes short with the corner. Scott back to Cook, who whips it deep. And too deep. Out the other end, goal kick. Again, both sides have had their nervy moments in this first half. Really, really nervy moments, but it is the only moment that's mattered on the scoreline is that mistake from Anthony Robinson that led to the build-up of the goal for Antoine Semenyo. That is the difference in this game at the moment. After 54 seconds. Here's Alex Iwobi. Drifting into the box. Senesi, sorry. Not Senesi. Senesi was trying to defend it. It was Sessegnon. So many S's. Great cross by Alex Iwobi, and Ryan Sessegnon drifts around the back behind Senesi, the Bournemouth defender, who couldn't reach it, and the header directly into the arms of Kepa. Great opportunity. Great cross. The header either side of the keeper, and that was 1-1. But it's ended up, unfortunately for him, right down the throat of Kepa, as a few of those headers have this evening from Fulham. That's a really lovely cross from Alex Iwobi. Top quality. I got myself muddled up there. I said Senesi, Semenyo and Sessegnon. I mean, is there a bit of sympathy there? Here's Milos Kerkez bursting forward. Look at the space here for Kerkez. Feeds it in behind. Scott can't get on the end of it. Too much. It will be a simple grab for Bernd Leno. Well, Bournemouth haven't had a shot on target since they scored. It's their only shot on target this evening, and that was in the first minute. They haven't had a shot on target since, which will be a disappointment for Andone Iraola. The fact that they haven't kicked on. And in the end, it actually turns out that Fulham might have, and are ending, the half the stronger of the two sides, it seems. Bournemouth had that little wobble. And I think Fulham might just feel smell a little bit of blood here. So far, haven't been able to capitalise upon the little nervy moments that Bournemouth have displayed so far in the first half. Robinson, back to Bassey. He goes all the way back to Bernd Leno. Decides to go long into the channel, trying to find Iwobi. He's battling with Adam Smith. Smith getting involved there, getting it back to his centre-back in Dean Howson. And Kepa gets it and sends it long. Bit of head tennis there as Adams brings it down. Feeds it into the path of Evan Nielsen. Rolls it back to Semenyo, and the switch ball from Antoine Semenyo is well headed away by Timothy Castagna. It's picked up by Lewis Cook. Given away by Lewis Cook. Pereira. Robinson now. Can't get across the halfway line. Has to feed it off to Iwobi. Back in the midfield for Lukic. And Berger. Nice Sessegnon. Up against Kerkez. Breaks past Kerkez, but got a recovery challenge in there, Milos Kerkez. Felt he got the last touch off the Fulham player, but I think he actually has been given the decision. Let's see it again. The way he reacted, it looked like he didn't get the decision there. Yeah, it's really strong for Milos Kerkez. Really good recovery. It looked like he was beaten past the first time. And Sessegnon thought it too. And maybe just allowed Milos Kerkez back in. And he made a very, very good challenge. And it does go out for a goal kick. He did get the decision. He was geeing up the crowd there, Milos Kerkez. And let's say Milos Kerkez will be the hot topic. And I have to say, the man he is, the other left back in the game tonight, Anthony Robinson, I would have to say is, kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but I would have to say Anthony Robinson's the only outstanding left back we've seen in the Premier League this season. One that really stands out and has kind of come out of the woodwork and gone, yeah. Left back is a position this season that we've not really, and maybe the last few seasons, other than maybe Andy Robertson for Liverpool over the last number of seasons, but left back hasn't been a position in the Premier League where we've been starved of a wrath of quality. And I think Milos Kerkez and Anthony Robinson are two players that are just a little bit refreshing in that left back role, that we've had maybe struggling to really kind of have a group of left backs that we think, yeah, they're top quality in the Premier League. You know, Man City don't really have an out-and-out left back. Now, I mean, Arsenal have a young player, Miles Lewis-Skelly, but, you know, don't really want to target the out-and-out left back role. Liverpool are kind of flip-flopping between Robertson and Tsimikas. Chelsea really don't have one that's outstanding, maybe Marco Correa, but is he massively top quality? I have my doubts. Villa, I mean, Lucadinha maybe, but then again, there's no one other than, I would say, Anthony Robertson and Milos Kerkez are the two that would stand out for me as outside of Robertson over the last number of years that really could announce themselves as left backs and real out and out. And I think Anthony Robinson's had this season. I mean, despite the mistake he's made tonight, he's just got them a corner down the left side, Robinson, on the overlap there. But he's had a fantastic season, you know, 10 assists in the Premier League at left back. He's being the modern Andy Robertson. What Andy Robertson was doing at Liverpool when they were winning league titles, he's kind of doing that for Bournemouth, or for Fulham this season. The corner whipped in, back post, chipped in by Anderson, cleared away by Ouattara. Not very far though. Sessegnon keeps it alive. Pereira whips it back in. Lots of scrambling in the box as Cook gets it away and Evan Nielsen tries to flick it on. Adams not got anywhere to go. And Anderson there stopped in his tracks by Marcus Senesi, who is, I think, might be penalised for this. Joachim Anderson is really, really in pain. And he's going to get a yellow card for this, Marcus Senesi. I have to see this again. Oh my goodness me, Marcus Senesi. He's got a yellow card, but my goodness, he's going to be lucky. Because I think that very easily could be a red. He's leading with his studs. He makes slight connection. It's not major connection. He doesn't clean out Joachim Anderson with the studs, but he does connect. However minimal it may be, he does connect, and I think he leads with the studs. I think he's very lucky here, Senesi, to not come away with a red. My goodness me. I have to say that's lucky. And I get he's going for the ball, but it's really dangerous, and I think the referee, Michael Oliver, is just talking to Joachim Anderson about why he didn't give a red card and why he thinks it's just a yellow. And I think VAR are going to agree with the referee. I don't think I do. In my opinion, that's really dangerous. And if when you lead with the studs, it should be a straight red no matter what. It's Pereira's free kick. Cleared away. And Scott can hoof it up the field. And actually turns into a good attacking moment. Because here's Ouattara in space. That's good control. Lovely close control from Dango Ouattara. And he still has the ball here. Cook. Semenyo now. Bournemouth making something of this. Lots of players forward all of a sudden. Cook with the ball into the box, and two were diving at it. Neither could get on the end of it. Here's Kerkez to keep it alive. Whips it back in too high. Clearance not very far as Adams brings it down. 2 minutes to be added on at the end of the first half. Another cross into the box. Cleared away by Sessegnon, who's back, helping defensively. Kerkez. Senesi with a cross. Cleared away. Adams chests it down. Keeps it alive. And then it's just recycled back to Dean Howson. But I think I might need a few still images. I think we were going to have a still image of that challenge at half-time. You can have your say on what we think on that yellow card that was given, but should it be a red for Marcus Senesi of Bournemouth? And we'll try and get the still image of that moment for you. We can analyse that at half-time. We'll also analyse Fulham's hopes of Europe. And we might put Bournemouth in the conversation. We don't have a graphic for Bournemouth, but we'll put them in the conversation, because if they win tonight, they will be level on points with both with Fulham and go above them on goal difference. As here's a breakaway and a shot from Alex Scott that is pushed wide by Bernd Leno. Again, good break off the right side. It's actually Scott who's hugging the touchline on the right side. He just drives in and the space just opens up for him. Again, a little bit lethargic from Fulham defensively. Gets a bit of luck on the rebound, and as it falls for him, he strikes it with the left. I don't think it's curling away from goal anyway, but Bernd Leno makes 100% sure and puts it wide for the corner, which might be the last action of the half. Kerkez to take. Right hand side. Left-footed delivery. Whipped in. And the header by Ouattara will just dribble its way out for a goal kick, will it? No, it's kept in by Sessegnon. There's going to be nothing coming of that in the end, because there's the half-time whistle. 2 minutes up, and the first half comes to a close. And Bournemouth, despite being a little bit fluffy, that's not a word, a little bit flaky in the first half at times, I gotta say, it's the mistake made by Anthony Robinson that was capitalised upon inside 54 seconds by Antoine Semenyo that sees the sides separated at the break. Half-time at the Vitality. It is Bournemouth 1, Fulham 0. We'll analyse that and some controversial moments at half-time. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Premier League Live. Half-time at the Vitality Stadium. It's Bournemouth 1 at Fulham 0 at the break, and we're going to analyse that first half. We're also going to talk about these two teams in context of European football next season. Can they qualify? We will see, because there are some stipulations about the end of the season and how things can pan out. It's quite chaotic. I've no bloody idea how some of this figures out, but there's a possibility, I heard earlier, there's a possibility of 11 of the Premier League sides being involved in European competition next season. It's very complicated. 11 is nuts, but we'll try and kind of weave our way through that and figure that out. I was trying to find a still image of that challenge by Marcus Senesi. I will keep an eye out, and when I have it, if I have it, I will try and bring that to you at some point, but at the moment we're unable to get that, but we will try our best to try and get that moment for you as I'm still continuing to search. But I can tell you what the Premier League Match Centre has said about that moment. It has said, or kind of the Premier League Match Centre, if you don't already know, is what it kind of explains VAR decisions, and that's the Match Centre is what gives you the new animations for the semi-automated offsides to show you why goals have been called offside or why decisions were onside, whatever that is. So it's kind of just explaining refereeing decisions, basically, on social media. And it does say, for that incident, that the referee's call of yellow card to Senesi for a reckless challenge was checked and confirmed by VAR, with the contact deemed to be glancing. Glancing is the word that they have used in reference to that one, in saying why he was not given a red card, Marcus Senesi, by the referee. It is deemed to have been glancing contact. I'd love them to explain what that actually means. I've never heard that used before, but there we are. That's Premier League in the VAR era. They use words and phrases that, a dictionary and a thesaurus would be very happy with using, because there is such variety in the things that they say, and the way they explain decisions, I think, is quite hilarious. But there we are. So let's analyse that first half then, because a first half where you'd have to say both sides had their moments. They both had their moments of awkwardness, shall we say, really. As we get the graphics on, moments of awkwardness, because Fulham started really badly, and credit to Bournemouth, they took advantage of an early mistake inside the first minute. 53 seconds is the classified time for the goal, so one of the quickest of the season, which is quite remarkable. But yeah, it's poor. It comes from a Fulham attack, and they just miscontrol it. They don't keep it alive. Timothy Castagne with a poor pass. It allows Bournemouth to break away. I think it's Alex Scott that starts the breakaway, and then there's a foul in there. It's all kind of play advantage. There's a Bournemouth player that falls to the ground. But the point I want to point out, and I've said it already, Fulham had 6 players back. 6 players against the 3 of Bournemouth, and one of those 3 ends up scoring. Now, I get it's a mistake by Anthony Robinson. He miscontrols the ball. He lets it get away. He's a bit off balance. He can't really control the ball well enough, and he ends up giving away the goal. And Antoine Semenyo has a bit of work to do after that. Again, I'm not letting the other 5 Fulham players off the hook. There are still 5 players there that Anthony Robinson gets put out of the game by his own kind of misjudgment of the ball, kind of the flight of the ball. But it's still a damning of the other 5 players that they don't get back over and cover quick enough. They don't try and stop the attack, because it's not that they're all completely at sea and they're nowhere to be seen. They're there and they're ready and set to defend a counter-attack, but they defend it awfully. They do not defend it anywhere well enough, anywhere near enough, and that's why they concede the goal. It's Antoine Semenyo, lovely bit of skill, lovely control of the ball, but it's terrible defending. And when you have that many bodies, you've double the amount of players defensively than the attacking team has. You should come out of that unscathed. And I think Marco Silva, I said it, should be absolutely furious with those way his team defended a counter-attack. Because it's not unknown. Bournemouth are a team that love to hit teams on the break in transition. After they press and win the ball, they break in transition and try and get a goal as quickly as possible. That is Bournemouth's philosophy under Andone Areola this season, and that's where the goal comes from. And Fulham should be really disappointed in themselves. However, they had half chances themselves. A good couple of headers from corners and set pieces, which had them opportunities themselves. One they'll probably not forgive themselves for is Rodrigo Muniz, the fact that he completely missed the target when the 2 Bournemouth centre-backs decided to have a bit of hokey-cokey with each other. Is the left foot in, left foot out? They don't actually know what they were doing. They both decide to leave the ball, they both decide to hit the ball, and then it's a complete mismatch, complete miscommunication, and Rodrigo Muniz should do so much better. One-on-one with Kepa. He doesn't even get the ball on target. That's how bad the shot is. In the end, he should do so much better. But I'd say it's a first half of missed opportunity for Fulham, really. They had opportunities, many of them, and probably more, actually, in the end than Bournemouth did, because Bournemouth had only, if I'm not mistaken, only one shot on target. Sorry, two shots on target in that first half. Alex Scott's one just before half-time is the other one. They hadn't had a shot on target for the vast majority of that game, other than their goal. So they weren't threatening in terms of testing the goalkeeper right until the latter stages of the half. So there was a whole gaping hole in the first half of... They bookended it, basically. They had a really good start with the opening goal, and they ended the half probably the better in the added time of the two teams, Bournemouth. But middle way through, Fulham were up and down as well as Bournemouth were up and down, and it was just a bit all over the place. And Bournemouth really didn't show enough, in my mind, to try and kick on and maybe get a second goal. But on the same contrary, Fulham didn't do enough to try and get back into the game. And it's funny enough, that's why we're 1-0 at half-time. Both mistaking and not taking their opportunities. Bournemouth not creating enough opportunities, to be fair, but Fulham having the opportunities and just not taking them. It is quite poor. Right, that's the first half done and dusted. But I want to show you the analysis of the two teams in context of Europe. So this is Fulham's fixtures between now and the end of the season. So this is where they stand between now and the end of the season. So tonight against Bournemouth, I've ranked them, as you can see on the left-hand side there, in level of difficulty. So there's 2 is moderate difficulty. They're difficult games, but they're also opportunities where they can pick up a good win. 1 is a game they should win, and 3 is a game they would be very happy to win, but it's not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination that they would win. So I think that's a pretty fair ranking in terms of Fulham's remaining 7 games, including this one tonight. I think tonight is a game of an opportunity for them. Yes, away to Bournemouth's really tough, and it's been hard for a lot of teams this season going away to Bournemouth. But in my mind, if I'm Fulham, this is an opportunity tonight. You know, away from home, a big win against Liverpool last week. This is your opportunity to go, yeah, we're on the way up. We're on the move to try and chase for European place. A big one tonight. A Bournemouth side that haven't won a Premier League game since mid-February. This is a team not in form at the minute. This is your opportunity tonight to go and stamp your authority and go, yeah, we're here. We're here for the battle for European places. And then maybe take that into Chelsea. The reason I've put 2 for Chelsea at home is because it's at home. If it was Chelsea away at the Bridge, I would put it up to maybe a 3. But then some would argue maybe it could be a 1, because the fact that Chelsea, their home form hasn't been great, and that draw with Ipswich really doesn't help them. So I was kind of caught between 2 minds of this Chelsea one, but I don't think it's a game Fulham should win, but I do think it's an opportunity for Fulham to win, which is why I put it at a 2 for the West London derby against Chelsea at the weekend, which I think we'll be keeping an eye on that one. That's on Easter Sunday, isn't it? It is. That's 2 o'clock kickoff on Easter Sunday. So we'll keep an eye on that one at the weekend. Then Southampton away, they should win that. I mean, that's their only must-win game, in my opinion, between now and the end of the season, based on the teams they play and the form that the teams they're playing are in. Villa away, one of their toughest games between now and the end of the season. It's a really tough place to go, Villa Park. And Villa in a very good moment. But again, it's a team challenging for Europe themselves. You never know. Pressure could get to Aston Villa. And then we go to the final 3 games of the season. Everton at home, again, an opportunity. I don't think it's a game that they should win, but it's a game that they really should take an opportunity from. Same with Brentford, and then Man City at home on the final day. Who knows where they could be at that point? At that point, it could be Man City have already got Champions League and they're just playing for pride, and Fulham do have something still to play for. Or it could be Fulham are gone, it doesn't really matter anymore, and City are battling themselves. So that could be a 3, but it could also be a 1, depending on the situation then, or even a 2, sorry, depending on the situation. But this is where they stood before kickoff tonight. 6 points off top 7 with the game in hand tonight. 8 points off top 5 with tonight's game in hand. If they win tonight, Fulham, they would be 3 points off top 7 and 5 points off top 5. So still very much in the mix, and they have Chelsea next. which are a battler above them. So it is still very much in their hands, but they need to win tonight. They lose tonight, and I think it's really difficult for them considering the fixtures they've got coming up. And we'll talk about Bournemouth because the second half is literally hot-footing it right to the way of the second half. It's about a minute and 45 away. Do stay with us here for the second half as Bournemouth lead Fulham by a goal to nil. Welcome back to Premier League Live on this Monday night. Bournemouth leading Fulham by a goal to nil at the halfway mark. Antoine Semenyo's goal after 53 seconds has the home side, the Cherries, in front. But don't forget, more football for you tomorrow night. It's another Champions League week. It's the quarterfinal second legs, and we're at Villa Park tomorrow night as Villa look to overturn a 3-1 deficit from the first leg in Paris, as they try and qualify for the semi-finals. If there's one place they would love to be, and that's at home at Villa Park, under the lights, with that atmosphere roaring. That's tomorrow, 8 o'clock on LFS. Looking forward to that one, really am. Looking forward to that one, as there's going to be changes at half-time. Ilya Zabarnyi is coming on for Bournemouth and replacing Marcus Sonesi. So a straight swap at centre-back. And maybe Bournemouth feeling that their centre-back maybe should have been sent off in that first half. And he's already on a yellow, remember, from the first half. And maybe just don't want to risk maybe him making another slightly silly challenge that could see him be sent to the dressing room early. But he has been changed. Ilya Zabarnyi is on at centre-back for Bournemouth for this second half. So we don't need to worry about that anymore. And I don't think I'd be too wrong in saying that certainly was in the mind of Andone Iraola at half-time, of just maybe bringing him off to just kind of allow him to settle and not really have to worry about the second half with him being on a yellow card. But it's a big second half for both teams, to be fair. I mean, for Bournemouth, they've got the lead. They want to add to that lead. They want to try and build a bit of momentum for the end of the season. But on the contrary, Fulham have a lot to do. They've got the advantage. They're 3 points ahead of Bournemouth. They win tonight, Fulham. I said it, they can be within a number of points of the European places. So they've got a more realistic kind of hope and expectation of being in the mix for European battlers. But Bournemouth are still not out of it if they come away with a win tonight. So it's important for both teams to show up in this second half and show what they're made of, show what they're capable of. You know, and I want to see that from both teams. I want to see that fight back from Fulham in the second. And I think it'll be crucial for them just to start well in this second half. Start with a good couple of chances, getting into the box, getting in and around the area. That's where they can cause a threat, and if they can get into those spaces early enough, they can really start to cause problems. And Marco Silva's side certainly know how to win from losing positions. One of the most points won from losing positions this season are Fulham. Here's Iwobi. Overlapping was Robinson. Into the box it goes. Scott can get it away, as can Semenyo, who drives down the right side here. But drives right out of play with the ball there. Throw into Fulham. I don't know where Antoine Semenyo thought he was going. He was going nowhere, evidently. It's Lukic. Fed the ball wide to Anthony Robinson. Robinson losing a bit of concentration there. Tried to take the touch. And the ball just rolled past his foot and out for another throw. Maybe just been a little bit, what's the word? Just off it tonight at times. has Anthony Robinson not been at his best so far this evening. And that first half kind of mistake that led to the Bournemouth goal might just be, I wouldn't say it would unsettle him for the rest of the game, but it might just make him a little bit more cautious, which is a massive would be a massive kind of disappointment in watching him, because he is an incredible footballer. Certainly when he gets into position and gets into the rhythm. One of the most threatening. Here's Calvin Bassey. Into midfield, finds Sanderberger. Right to the right side for Castagna. Nice Sessegnon. Trying to battle with Kerkez. Laid the ball off to Lukic. And Castagna. Lukic again. Iwobi. Turning into space. Feeds it out wide to Robinson, but that one's a lot harder to try and control. Was whipped right out to Anthony Robinson with sheer pace, and it was really difficult for the Fulham left back there to get anywhere near that one. A Bournemouth throw. And Evan Nielsen's gone down, which is a bit of a worry, and he's holding his right shoulder. Must be a worrying sign for Bournemouth. Ready without Justin Kluivert, Luis Sinisterra, Enes Unal, Marcus Tavernier, Ryan Christie, all those attacking players. With Daniel Jebison, they do have Marcus Tavernier and David Brooks on the bench, if needs be. And they don't want to see their main man ruled out, but Evan Nielsen's back to his feet. Has had a very good season this season. Evan Nielsen, 9 Premier League goals in his 24 previous appearances. He's in good form as well. Scored in all of his last 3 appearances for Bournemouth. Scored 4 goals in those games. He got a brace last time out against West Ham to rescue a draw. Scored the only goal in a 2-1 defeat against Ipswich. So 3 in his last 2. 4 in his last 3, including that goal against Man City in the FA Cup as well. He scored some crucial goals in tight games as well, as I said. You know, 3 of his last 5 goals have actually turned out to be result-changing goals. An equaliser against Tottenham, and then 2 goals against West Ham to rescue 2-2 draws out of those games. So he is an impact player. And of course, it goes without saying, a centre forward has to be an impact player, has to get big goals and big moments, but his impact maybe felt a little bit more. But he is one of the main men. And actually, I was reading that this evening, that 53 seconds I heard, was the fastest goal for Bournemouth this season that they've scored. 53 seconds is their fastest goal of the season. Smith tried over the top there for Semenyo. There was a little bit of space, but the ball was just too far ahead of Antoine Semenyo there. He's not their highest scorer, Evan Nielsen, for Bournemouth. Their highest scorer is Justin Kluivert, who has 12 Premier League goals, but he's second on that list. Is Evan Nielsen with 9. Then comes Antoine Semenyo with 8. And of course scored his 9th goal, I believe, this evening, if I'm correct in that. I believe I'm correct. No, I'm not. It's 8 goals. He scored his 8th of the season tonight. I definitely said that in the first half and completely forgot about it, but sometimes the graphics update, sometimes they don't. Anyway, that's a lovely win back by Ouattara. And a switch ball out to the right side here for Semenyo for Bournemouth. Trying to add his 9th goal. Dribbling into the box. Goes out wide to Smith now. Back to Semenyo again. Now Adams. Bodies up the field for Bournemouth, but a lot of bodies back for Fulham. Semenyo trying to find that little bit of space. Evan Nielsen, who was offside when the ball was played to him. Coming back from an offside position there to receive the ball. And a free kick for Fulham. Well, it's been mix and match between these two. In the last number of fixtures, they've met each other 7 times previously in the Premier League. And Bournemouth have just pipped it with 3 wins, Fulham with 2 wins and 2 draws. So Bournemouth have the slightly of the better results between the sides in their 7 previous fixtures. 2 of those 3 wins for Bournemouth have come at home against Fulham. They actually came back-to-back in 2023. I want to add another one to the list here this evening. Here's Dango Ouattara. Nice feed of the ball into the box, and the shot from Scott is wide. He had the shot from distance, and he's gone down holding his left leg there, his left shin. See it again, it's nice from Ouattara, wide on the left side. Fizzes it across the edge of the box, and Alex Scott there, stepping up, putting it onto his right foot to have the shot. And whatever he did, might have hurt himself in the process there. But despite Bournemouth having won more of the games overall between the two sides in their Premier League meetings previously, Fulham have had the better of it recently. They've... Oh, hold on a minute. Adams couldn't quite find the first ball. Here's Dango Ouattara. Gets it across, and Adams couldn't tiptoe it in. As it's well saved by Bernd Leno, and now Fulham want to spring a counter. Lukic overhit the pass. The clearance will be nicely brought back to Fulham possession. Here's Lukic. Back involved again. Out wide it goes to Robinson. Trying to drive his way into the box, Anthony Robinson. Lays it off to Sander Berge. At the edge. Back out wide to Robinson. Looking to squeeze a little bit of space, but couldn't quite find Sasa Lukic. As I was saying, Fulham have had the better of it recently in terms of form against Bournemouth. Unbeaten in the last 2 against the Cherries. In the reverse fixture, it was a 2-2 draw at Craven Cottage between these two in late December. And the previous meeting was also at Craven Cottage at February 2024. Fulham won by 3-1. But the last time Fulham won here at the Vitality, it's the only time they've beaten Bournemouth away from home in the Premier League, and that was in April 2019 when they won 1-0 here, and it was Alexander Mitrovic, of course. Who else in that era for Fulham? Alexander Mitrovic that got the winning goal in that 1-0 victory that day against Bournemouth. Their only win away from home in the Premier League against the Cherries. Sessegnon trying to cause a problem to Ilya Zabarnyi. He was trying to undress him there as he was tugging at his shorts. Don't know what his intentions are. At least take him out for a drink first. And Ryan Sessegnon there, penalised for the pull on Ilya Zabarnyi. There's going to be a couple of substitutions here for Fulham. If you want impact players off the bench, 2 former Wolves players coming off the bench here. Raul Jimenez and Adama Traore are going to be amongst them. Ryan Sessegnon's going to be one that's going to be replaced. So his last in action was trying to physically chat up Ilya Zabarnyi there. I need to stop that. I do. Triple change then. Rodrigo Muniz, Sander Berge and Ryan Sessegnon are all coming off. And Raul Jimenez, Tom Kearney and Raul Jimenez are all coming on. What's going on there? This is an absolute shit show. What's going on? Can you not swap 3 players for another 3 players? Is it that hard? The referee's having to come over and actually check. What's going on? Jesus, holy Lord Almighty. And Sessegnon is off. It could be the fact that Sessegnon went off and nobody actually spotted him coming off the pitch. Might be the problem. Sander Berge's off. And Sessegnon. And the last one was Rodrigo Muniz that was put up on the board. They still haven't quite figured it out. There we are. Well done. My goodness me. Friggin' hell. Absolute SHIT show. Absolutely shocking. They don't do themselves any favours, officials. My goodness. As the sarcastic cheers from the Bournemouth fans there about getting that one right. The fourth official, Tim Robinson, has had an absolute shocker there. Oh my goodness me. Just to confirm, Ryan Sessegnon, Sander Berger and Rodrigo Muniz all off, replaced by Adama Traore, Tom Kearney and Raul Jimenez for Fulham. A triple change in one go for Marco Silva's side. Around about the hour mark here, with them 1-0 down and having to try and battle to try and get an equalising goal at the very least here. I can't believe what I've just heard. I'll tell you, I'll relay a message that I've just heard that's come directly from the Fulham dugout. I genuinely can't believe what I've just heard. I'll tell you in a moment, because here's Fulham on the break here with Bassey trying to find something. Through the middle is Kearney and goes back. Directly from the Fulham bench, apparently Ryan Sessegnon was not meant to come off the field to play. Wait, what? Sorry, what? He's now off and has been replaced, but clearly Fulham obviously thought, I don't know whether Marco Silva wanted someone else to come off and Sessegnon just come off, so he just made the decision of going, well, yeah, fair enough. What? I mean, maybe I need to apologise to the officials, because maybe they were confused by the fact that Ryan Sessegnon thought he was coming off. Fulham coaching staff maybe didn't think he was coming off. I mean, what the hell? Whatever happened, it's an absolute shit show. And in the end, they deal with it. They make the 3 changes. It all works out in the end. They have 11 players on the field. But my God, did they take a while to get there. As Scott there, trying to break down the right side, and was dragged back by Anthony Robinson. That gets the Fulham captain a yellow card. He is certainly rattled. Anthony Robinson. That's not a good sign for the Fulham captain. I mean, we were getting shots of the Fulham bench there. I mean, what one of those idiots has done that? Clearly, what I think has happened, and I'm just assuming from the information that I've heard that apparently Ryan Sessegnon wasn't meant to come off, what I'm assuming is that one of the coaches, one of the people, the backroom staff for Fulham, has said to Ryan Sessegnon verbally, you're coming off. But it's a miscommunication that he wasn't coming off. So Sessegnon does come off. No one spots him coming off. And then by that time, he's already off the pitch. So they may be just like, well, yeah, he's off already. We're not going to mess this and make it even more confusing than what it already is. But whatever happened, it was an absolute calamity. I mean, I've never seen that before. It's going to be a corner here to Bournemouth. Milos Kerkez winning it down the left-hand side there. This will be their 6th corner of the game for Bournemouth. Their first of the second half. The first of the second half. After 62 minutes. They lead by a goal to 0. And by God, they would love to double that lead. Whipped across in. Headed away by Lukic. Now Kearney trying to see a forward ball. Feeds it into the path of Adama Traore. Had no chance. Adam Smith gets it all the way back to Kepa. Header won there by Bassey, but straight out of play for a Bournemouth throw-in. Reminder for you, Champions League football tomorrow night. Aston Villa looking to overcome a 2-goal deficit from the first leg in Paris as they host PSG. one of the dark horses to win the Champions League this year. Never won it before. They've been in one Champions League final before, PSG, in 2020, which they lost to Bayern Munich. They want to get there again and win it this time. But they have still to face Aston Villa at Villa Park. A force to be reckoned with tomorrow, 8 o'clock on LFS. Traore's cross. Cleared away. Kearney keeps it alive. Now Iwobi down the left side. Whips it into the box. Oh, the header from Dean Howson. Got it clear of danger and ends up being cleared out for a throw-in. That looked awkward from Dean Howson. And somehow it actually worked out. As they're going to make a change here. Bournemouth, their first of the game. Sorry, their second of the game. First of the second half. And it's going to see Alex Scott be replaced. And Marcus Tavernier is going to come on in his place. Surely there should be no mix-up with this one. It's pretty simple. One off, one on. And Marcus Tavernier is on. And Alex Scott is off. So some fresh legs in the attack for Bournemouth, with the final 25 minutes of this game to go. A win, remember, would put them above Fulham in the table, up to 8th. And they would be 6 points off the top 7 with a win, Bournemouth. As would Brighton and Fulham if that result stays the same. It would mean 8th, 9th and 10th were all on 48 points. All 6 points adrift of the top 7. And the cliched phrase of they're all in the same boat would never be truer. They would be quite literally in the same boat, on the same number of points. Still time for that to change though. And a chance for Fulham to give themselves another boat that's going a little bit faster in its way of chasing those teams in Europe. Certainly in the European places anyway. Traore bursting down the right side. Lovely cross. Too high and ahead of Raul Jimenez. Controlled well by Semenyo and clears his lines well. But no one there to target. Up the middle. And easily recycled back by Fulham with Tom Kearney. Iwobi, fairly central now. Drives it through. Cleared away from Andreas Pereira there. Again, a little bit better from Fulham in this second half, I'd have to say. Again, not enough clear-cut chances. And I'd argue for both teams that's the case. Not enough clear-cut chances being made. Well, this is a nice one. Jimenez with a flick on. Iwobi spinning his man. Iwobi! Good save by Kepa. Alex Iwobi with a lovely little bit of skill. Absolutely skins his defender. It was Tyler Adams coming across. Absolutely slips on his backside. And Alex Iwobi steps onto his right foot and tries to curl it into that top left corner. Full stretch. Kepa Arrizabalaga denies him. And it will be a Fulham corner. Pereira to deliver. Punched away by Kepa. Kearney brings it down for the second phase. Whipped back in by Pereira. Deep. But too close to Kepa this time. He's got some firm hands tonight, Kepa. He had a couple of good saves. 4 to be exact. I'm not sure whether that includes the shot we've just seen. It didn't, because it's just updated. It's 5 saves for Kepa, including that Alex Iwobi one, which is certainly, I would say, the best of them. Given away cheaply there by Zabarnyi. And Iwobi might be in here with Jimenez across. Again, too close to Kepa. He tried to spin it across the box. He's seen that from his gesture there. He wasn't quite happy with the hit. And it was just too close to Kepa. Didn't get enough curl on it. Spin it across the box and ended up being easily gathered by the Bournemouth keeper again. Quarter of the game remains. Bournemouth 1, Fulham 0. Lukic with a bit of space. Jimenez drifting off the front line to try and sustain the attack, but ends up chesting it into space and forces Tom Kearney to make a challenge he doesn't need to, and gives away a foul and gets a yellow card. Tom Kearney, the Fulham captain. He's the club captain, Tom Kearney, of Fulham. Takes the armband off Anthony Robinson when he came on the field. Speaking of swaps, let's hope this one for Fulham goes a little bit smoother, as Andreas Pereira is going to be taken off and replaced by Emile Smith-Rowe. So fresh legs for Fulham in the attack again. Already made a number of attacking changes. 2 to be exact there. Bringing off Munith and Sessegnon a bit earlier on. Now they've brought off Pereira, so 3 of their front 4 now off the field and swapped out. Smith-Rowe the latest to be introduced. Anderson played that straight to Tavernier, but got a bit lucky. Got a bit lucky there that through ball found its way to the feet of Emile Smith-Rowe. Now Kearney. Robinson now, down the left side. Across to Kearney. There is space in this game. There is opportunities waiting. Just need to find them. Kearney. Lukic. Well set up for this shot. But it's too close again to Kappa. Must have glue on those gloves tonight, Kappa. He's got to everything tonight. I mean, Sasa Lukic's shot from the straight on angle, it doesn't look as good as initially what it did from the wide angle, but again, had to be to make the save. Could have been awkward if it had a bounce, but Kepa did well. They're starting to get shots off a little bit more frequently, Fulham, and it will be a concern for Andone Iraola that his side haven't been able to battle back and try and cause Fulham enough problems for them to be afraid in this game and to be wary of conceding a second. Because at the minute, they're the team in control, the visitors, which is quite ironic considering they're behind, but they're the team controlling this game. Here's Kearney. Lukic. Again, lots of Bournemouth bodies back. They're crowding out the spaces now. Although here's a Wobie wide, trying to drift into the box. Try to square it across to Lukic, but not quite reaching him. And Bournemouth can squeeze it away with Ouattara. Nice close control by Ouattara, but no foul, said the referee. But Evan Nielsen helps out, tracking back, keeps the possession for the Cherries. Kirk has slipped and dispossessing Bournemouth again there. Fulham a lot better intensity-wise from Fulham. Here's a Wobie. Seem to be a little bit more cohesive. They seem to understand each other a little bit more now. The changes have worked. They're being a little bit more rhythmical. They're moving it a lot better. They're creating some good chances. They're getting the ball wide, keeping opportunities open. Just looking a little bit more fluid. And here's Traore breaking away from numbers into space. Lovely little ball to Robinson, who gets it across. And the flag was up anyway, I think, against Anthony Robinson in the first phase. Comes to nothing. It was really nice from Traore. Kind of closed into a little space and just used his pace to break away. Got into the central area and fed the ball wide to Robinson, who just couldn't keep himself onside. Well. Well. As Kepa's receiving a bit of treatment at the moment, so that's why we have a stoppage in play. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That would be greatly appreciated. I thank each and every one of you who's watching tonight. It's great to have you with us for this one. I think Kepa should be okay. Don't know whether it's a little bit of time wasting, a bit of tactical time wasting, but I think he's alright. Something sneaky tells me he's okay. Well, if Bournemouth do come away with a win here this evening, their first in almost 2 months in the Premier League, they will look ahead to themselves. They will look ahead to the next 6 fixtures and think, why not? Why couldn't we be in European contention. You know, they head away to Palace at the weekend. That'll be another big game on Saturday that they will need 3 points out of if they want to keep that conversation. And then they've got some opportunities to come after that, with Manchester United on the horizon as well. Manchester United on the horizon, as I said, at home. Then they've got the tough run. Arsenal away, Villa at home, City away, before they host Leicester on the final day of the season. Here's Kearney into the box. Oh, Kerke's got a header, but I think it came off Traore last. It goes behind for the goal kick. That is if Bournemouth come away with a win, because Fulham are trying to push for it. But as I said, if Fulham come away with a victory tonight, if Fulham come away with a good win, it will be a moment where you'd think, yeah, they're really in the mix here. And I would have to say, if they do come away with a win tonight, Fulham, I do think it's the end of the road for Bournemouth and Brighton for European battle. I do believe that. Because remember now, the top 5 are guaranteed at Champions League. 6th is Europa League. 7th is Conference League. But remember, the FA Cup's still in contention. And if any of the teams that aren't in the top 7 win the FA Cup, they will be given a European place. If a team inside the top 7 wins the FA Cup, then the place will drop down. There's Kearney with a shot. And I think 8th will be enough for European contention as well. So it's still possible and plausible that the 3 teams that might be vying for 8th place, Bournemouth, Fulham and Brighton, might still have a sneaking outside chance of a European spot come the end of the season, if a team's inside the top 7 wins the FA Cup, which is still very possible. Aston Villa, Manchester City are 2 of them. Trying to think, is there anyone else? No, not that I can think of. No, Crystal Palace aren't in the top 7. And Nottingham Forest, of course. So there's actually a 3/4 chance that could happen. There's so many kind of permutations that if Crystal Palace win the FA Cup and if certain teams win European competition and all that, it's very complicated. Very complicated. Be interesting to know, actually, if Arsenal win the Champions League and they finish in a Champions League place, would it drop to 6th? I don't know. Because it would be an extra place. And they guarantee their place in the Champions League through winning it. I don't know how that works. Anyway, it's complicated, is what I'll say. But for these 2, it's not very complicated. Win, and you get yourself back in contention. Lose, and you might see the end of the road. But Bournemouth, more than Fulham, a defeat would be more damning for them. Wobie. Smith Rowe couldn't find a pass, and it comes to nothing. Yeah, everything, their approach play's looking bright for them, but it's just that last pass that's letting them down. And if they're not getting the pass into the box, they're taking shots from the edge. And Kepa seems, what he's shown tonight, he seems capable of dealing with those efforts from distance pretty comfortably. Yeah, indeed. Well, the one thing for Bournemouth, actually, Crystal Palace play in midweek. Of course, Crystal Palace head to Newcastle on Wednesday night, so they'll have the extra 2 days of rest over Palace ahead of that game at Sellers Park on Saturday. So there is a hint that Bournemouth will have that in their favour if they win this one tonight and then head into that Palace game with that little bit of an extra advantage. Remember, Newcastle against Palace is on Wednesday night. That's Newcastle's game in hand, and we will be very much keeping an eye on that one, as well as our Champions League game on Wednesday night. We are I can tell you, we are going to be watching the game at the Bernabeu between Arsenal and Real Madrid. That will be our focus on Wednesday evening. You won't have to worry about that. And we will, of course, keep an eye on the other Champions League game, as well as Newcastle hosting Crystal Palace. Robinson. Good control, good clearance. Kearney. Iwobi. Slightly caught there by Lewis Cook. I think Iwobi got the final touch. Will be a Bournemouth throw. Well, we've still got a busy April on the horizon in the Premier League for you. Of course, we released our April on LFS fixtures a number of weeks ago. And we've still got a number of those games to come. At the weekend, there's no lunchtime kickoff at the weekend. We might have Aston Villa against Newcastle. I'm still waiting on some calendar and scheduling details on that one. But that might be involved. But we do have a double header for you on Sunday. Ipswich Arsenal, Leicester Liverpool. They're closely watched because if Arsenal lose to Ipswich and Liverpool beat Leicester, Liverpool could be crowned Premier League champions this weekend. So both of those games are guaranteed. We then have next Monday, we have another big game for you as Nottingham Forest continue their hopes for Champions League. They head to Spurs next Monday night, so that's a week tonight. Then next weekend, the 27th, Sunday the 27th, we'll see. Oh, Evan Nielsen. Oh, good stop by Leno. Came clattering out of his goal and convincingly took it away from the Bournemouth striker, and Fulham are going to get a free kick anyway. I've got to see that again. Sorry, I was caught reading the schedule to you there. 10 minutes to go then. Bournemouth 1, Fulham 0. See this, from the throw-in, Calvin Bassey just gets tangled with Evan Nielsen, who breaks away from him, and Bernd Leno has to come and get involved. Ooh, does he get the ball? Ooh, interesting. I don't think he got the ball there. VAR are going to check for a possible penalty. I think they might have a claim here, Bournemouth. Evan Nielsen gets caught by Bernd Leno, and Leno gets none of the ball. Is that reckless? And is that a penalty kick? VAR, Jared Gillett is checking. This could be a massive moment in this game. Antonio Iraola is waiting. And the check is complete. No penalty. Wow. Wow indeed. Wow, wow indeed. I mean, I've been confused on both decisions, contentious decisions tonight. And to be fair, I wouldn't say either of them have been kind of... What would you say? I don't think either of them have been kind of overly complicated. Does he get touch on the ball? He might do. He might. To be fair to him, he might. But that's the slightest of touches if he does. I can't definitively tell. I mean, maybe that's the right decision. If you can't definitively overturn it and give clear evidence to the referee that he's got the decision wrong, then yeah, you'd probably say stick with the on-field decision. I'm sure we'll hear that type of spiel from the match centre. Here is Robinson, cross deep. Traore was diving towards it, but I think Kerkez had him under control there. He did. Lovely ball wide. Robinson kept himself onside this time when the overlap, whips it in, and Kerkez got involved. I think he had the last touch, did he? The Hungarian. He did. Yeah, he did. Corner. Oh, my goodness. I don't even know anymore. I'll tell you about the remainder of the games in April in the Premier League very shortly. We've got a game to worry about before we talk about that. Corner taken short. Evan Nielsen wasn't too... He was decisive in his decision there. He knew where that was going. Right into the crowd. Another corner. Taking no risks there and clearing his lines, Evan Nielsen. Look at another shot at this, Fulham. Because the first corner looked like it was a real... I wouldn't say quite convincing. A little bit of a mess. Cross delivered in. Tara with a flick on at the front post. It will be another corner. Seven minutes of normal time remain. With the most goals from substitutes this season. Fulham 14, Bournemouth with 12. The top two from subs impacting the game, scoring goals. And here's another corner, will be delivered in and cleared behind for another corner by Evan Nielsen. The fourth successive corner for Fulham. Let's see what they can do from this one. Go short this time. Smith Rowe. Chip back in from Kearney, but too high, the chip. Goal kick. Right, quickly I'll read the schedule to you, because Willian's coming on here for Fulham. So then, the weekend after this weekend, so next weekend, Sunday the 27th, we might have a game on Saturday the 26th for you. There is a lunchtime game on that one. Chelsea-Everton. There's no late game that night, though. We might have that game. But the Sunday the 27th, we have Bournemouth against Man United here at 2 o'clock. And then Liverpool-Tottenham at 4:30. If they don't win the league this weekend, Liverpool, it's likely they'll win the league at home to Tottenham next weekend. And then to end off the month, we end on another game. It was meant to be Monday night, Man City Villa. I think that's now been changed. I believe it has. So we'll update you on that whenever we get the details of that. But I think we will still have the Man City Villa game live at some point. That's next Tuesday, I think that actually is. So we'll let you know in due course. But there's some big games to come before we head into our final month of the season in May, where the big prizes get handed out. Liverpool might have their big prize to come in the next 2 weeks. Emil Smith Rowe caught in possession, but he got away with it. And then this time, Tyler Adams commits a foul in trying to win the ball back off Joachim Andersen and gets himself a yellow card. Tyler Adams in the book. Yeah, he battles to win the ball off Smith Rowe, and he does well. But as he makes the challenge, the ball gets away from him. And Anderson tries to step in, and he just commits the foul. Simple as you like. His 5th yellow card of the season for Tyler Adams. Fulham made a mess of that attack. Tried to play the ball down the right side, and Anderson completely overhit it past his fullback Castagna. Throw into the Bournemouth. It's not been good enough tonight, Fulham. They've had more the same amount of shots, much more on target. 7 shots on target compared to Bournemouth 3. So they are testing Kepa more, but Kepa has made the saves on all of those shots on target. 7 saves tonight for Kepa Arrizabalaga. And that's accumulated over 1.1 XG denied, or XG saved, basically, from Kepa's point of view. So all of those add up to chances that should have ended up in a Fulham goal. But they didn't. Cheap giveaway in midfield there. But well won back by Ouattara. That just settles Bournemouth down a little bit. I think we're now at the point of Bournemouth don't really need to go and try and find a second. Just settle now. Try and see this out for the win. While Fulham trying to apply a bit of pressure to get a late goal. Kearney. Out to Willian on the left-hand side. Drifts it into the box. Tom Kearney's made the run in behind. And across it goes. But the header is deflected wide from Raul Jimenez. It will be a corner. Lovely ball by Willian. Deft run by Tom Kearney. Completely unmarked as he drove into the box. A blind run round the back of Tyler Adams, who had a bit of catching up to do. And Kearney just delivered it back across goal. And Jimenez's header was deflected behind. It's the corner, whipped in by Willian. Punched away by Kepa. Back in it went on the second by Kearney, but cleared away again. Smith Rowe now. Kearney. Wide it goes to Iwobi. Time running out for Fulham. Willian. Alex Iwobi has probably come the closest to giving Fulham a goal tonight. Here's Willian again, driving in the middle himself, reversing it into the path of Kearney, but again it all come collapsing down, and Bournemouth want to spring a counter here. Evan Nielsen has sent Ouattara on his bike, but Calvin Bassey, fabulous defending, steps in front of the man, Dango Ouattara, and guides it back to his goalkeeper to alleviate any sort of pressure. Fabulous defending. He was absolutely remarkable. Incredible against Liverpool, Calvin Bassey. And tonight, he's gone a little bit under the radar. Hadn't had much to do. But when he's needed to do the big job, he's done it. As Bournemouth are going to make a change. And it's going to be the man that would be guiding them to 3 points. And Antoine Semenyo that's going to make way. And Julio Soler is going to be coming on. Young player, Julio Soler. He looks very young. Like he should still be in school. But he's only 20. Looks a lot younger than that. Anyway, he's on the field. And Semenyo, his goal's the difference. Unless Fulham can try and change that late here. Willian, trying to dribble his way through. Goes wide to Iwobi. Finds Smith Rowe. Fairly central. Carried wide again to Willian. Trying to drive it towards the box, but again, Bournemouth with sheer numbers, although they've given it away to Castagna. Now Traore, Jimenez, across goal. Castagna trying to direct it. We were out of bodies. Couldn't get the shot off. And it bounces right into the hands of Kepa, who makes the claim. My goodness. Even when they try and cause chaos there, Fulham, Bournemouth just somehow eke it out and get away with it. I think he might have been offside there, Castagna. In any case, when he got the ball back from Jimenez, 5 added minutes then at the end of the 90. We've seen some late drama here before in the latter stages of this match, or of matches here at Vitality this season. Is there another twist in the tale here this evening? Or is it done and dusted? Here's Dango Ouattara on the break. Has to come back the way. Zabarnyi, over the top it goes. Bit audacious, but Robinson clears it away. Nicely worked out of trouble there from Fulham. Didn't end up being troubling whatsoever in the end there. It's actually a Premier League debut for Julio Soler this final couple of minutes. It's a long ball over the top from Fulham. Iwobi chests it down. Kearney, nice little control in the midfield. Smith Rowe now gives it out wide to Willian and feeds it down for the overlap of Robinson, who chips into the box, but again dominant in the air. And in his own area, Kepa Arrizabalaga puts his body on the line to make the claim and goes down. And there's a couple of bodies in the way there. Might have sacrificed a few of his own players in the process. My goodness. It's like a war zone in the box there of Bournemouth. 3 of their players down, including their goalkeeper. And we've 3 minutes or so still to play. Don't forget, Aston Villa against PSG tomorrow, 8 o'clock, the second leg of that Champions League quarter-final. PSG with a 3-1 advantage, heading to Villa Park. The roar of Villa Park tomorrow night, will be palpable, I am sure. And Villa still have a chance. There's every chance that they can still come back in that one. That's tomorrow night on LFS. Dean Howson. It is his 20th birthday today. And will he be celebrating a Premier League win on his birthday? Will be the first time in his career that will happen. He might be moving on next season. If you would have to say, the Sharks are circling of the big sides to try and sign him on as a young talent who's going to have a bright future. He's already made it into the Spain squad at international level, so he's already getting into that book, and that's the Spain side that are reigning European champions. Here is Robinson down the left. Long charging challenge there by Adam Smith. Puts it out for the throw. 90 seconds plus the referee's discretion still to go, because of course they did have that injury stoppage. As that cross comes to nothing. Out the other end for a Bournemouth throw. And Lewis Cook got a yellow card for a challenge on Alex Iwobi a couple of minutes ago. Well, if you had to pick player of the match, I mean, you could give it to a number of players, but there's no one other than the goal scorer that's had a standout performance. I don't think there's anybody on the pitch that I would say, you know what, you've been unbelievable. I mean, there was a stat there put up with Dean House, and he's made the most clearances and the most defensive actions, but I mean, if he gets a clean sheet on his birthday, maybe it's a nice birthday present, but I'm not that empathetic. I'm just going to be honest. Antoine Semenyo, he's made the difference tonight. It's as simple as that. He's got the goal at the minute that would give Bournemouth 3 points, and a much needed 3 points for the first time in almost 2 months in the Premier League. I mean, that should be your player of the match, and that is my player of the match, Antoine Semenyo. In a game with not many clear-cut opportunities and goal-scoring chances, they weren't aplenty tonight, but Fulham weren't able to capitalise on a number of theirs. Bournemouth were able to capitalise on their very first, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters when it comes to the result. Performances don't matter at this stage of the season. As long as you grind out the result and get the desired outcome, that's all that matters. That's all that will be remembered. And the 5 added minutes are up, but as I said, there might be a minute or so added on after that because of the injury stoppage in added time. So it's up to the referee, Michael Oliver, of when that final whistle is blown, as Bournemouth doing everything they can. The long clearance by Huysen sent Evan Ilson charging. Well controlled by Joachim Andersen. He kept the ball in play. Is there one last chance for Fulham? Still time. Iwobi down the left side here. Has not got many options. Goes wide to Robinson. Not flooding players forward, Fulham. Iwobi drifts it into the box. Jimenez was trying to get on the end of it, but well cleared by Milos Kerkez. Still there is time remaining, says Michael Oliver. And now there shouldn't be. It's going to be another Fulham throw. Another one. How long? And Dona Areola is saying time's up. Surely that should be that now. Bournemouth have got a throw in. Surely be no more time left. I mean, it's not 2 minutes over the 5 added, surely. Look at the stern look on Marco Silva's face. An out of opportunity that just didn't fall their way. Because there's the final whistle. And Bournemouth, with their first shot on target of the night, being the definitive shot on target that gives them all 3 points. Antoine Semenyo's finish, their quickest goal of the season for Bournemouth in the Premier League after 53 seconds, was enough in the end to get them a much needed 3 points for the first time in the Premier League since February the 15th. Almost 2 months to the day since they last claimed a Premier League victory, and they have a big one tonight over a team battling for Europe just like they are. It might be the slimmest of hopes, but while there is still hope, there is still a way, and I'm sure Andone Iraola's side will love to take this one and add to it and build on it and grow week in, week out until the end of the season And you never know. They might just find themselves in Europe for the very first time in their history. You never know. Stranger things have happened. Final score at the Vitality Stadium is finished. Bournemouth 1, Fulham 0. There we are. Done and dusted. Bournemouth get their first win in almost 2 months against the Fulham side, who were riding high after their 3-2 victory over Liverpool last week. But they've been brought right back down to earth and humbled on the night by a Bournemouth side who rode their luck at times. But in the end, sometimes you need to ride your luck, and luck can carry you over the line when you need to. And tonight, they needed it too. But arguably, you could say Fulham didn't make anywhere near enough of their chances, and they were nowhere near it tonight in terms of just not taking opportunities. You know, the key word tonight was opportunity for Fulham. It was their opportunity to take the 3 points and to go into the weekend's games with a chance. A chance to take 6 points from their 2 games this week and cascade themselves back into that chase for Europe. But tonight, they've fallen at the first hurdle. And whether they're capable of getting up and bouncing back is something still to be seen. There's 6 games to go for these 2 teams. And whether Europe is still on the cards, we'll wait and see. We will wait and see. That's all you can really say. You'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen. But tonight, Bournemouth might have given themselves a little bit of hope that they're still in with a fight. But a Fulham side, as I said, they had a week of opportunity and they've fallen at the first hurdle. Right, let's recap the full weekend's results then for you, and tonight's the table and the way it looks after tonight's results then, of course, or tonight's result, shall I say. It started on Saturday lunchtime. Man City, 5-2 victors over Crystal Palace. They were 2-0 down, scored 5 unanswered goals to claim a big 3 points at home. Leicester pegged Brighton back. They were behind twice. They came back twice, Leicester, in a fight back. Their first goals since the 26th of January to claim a big point on the road. Nottingham Forest falling again. Are they stumbling at the business end of the season? And are they going to keep themselves in a chance of European football or Champions League at that? They've fallen after a late winner from Everton, sealing the 3 points for the Toffees. A big win on the road for Villa as they keep themselves in the chase for Europe and very much in the mix with a big win away at Southampton. Arsenal dropping points again in a London derby against Brentford. Back-to-back droppages of points means it's almost a formality for Liverpool to claim the title now. Chelsea having to come from 2-0 down to draw with Ipswich 2-2. Disgruntled fans, disgruntled result at the Bridge. Liverpool needed a late captain's winner to claim 3 points against West Ham after they were pegged back with minutes remaining. Virgil van Dijk stepped up and scored the winner that put Liverpool 13 points clear at the top and now just 2 wins away from a Premier League title, their second in 5 years. Wolves with a convincing, in the end, victory over Tottenham. Tottenham, 17 defeats this season in the Premier League. Horrendous for Ange Postecoglou. There's been hints that he is going out the door at the end of the season, no matter what happens. Is that going to happen? We'll see. Wolves certainly giving the teams in the bottom 3, especially Leicester and Ipswich, who are still not confirmed relegated, but very much likely now with Wolves' big win over Spurs. And Newcastle absolutely thumping Manchester United by 4-1. Man United's dismal season just gets worse and worse as the weeks go on. But Europe, just like Spurs, might be their last hope of some joy to take out of this season. And tonight, Bournemouth have seen a 1-0 victory over Fulham, the only home side this weekend to keep a clean sheet, funnily enough, considering they'd conceded 2 goals in all of their last 5 games in a row. You wouldn't ride it. You can't ride it. It's the Premier League. Fulham the only away side not to have scored this week. And that is the way the results look. Let's show you what the table looks like then after 32 matches. Done, dusted, signed, sealed and delivered. Right to you. This is the way it looks then. Liverpool, very much all but done. 76 points. 13 ahead of Arsenal on 63 with now 18 points left to play for. If Liverpool win at the weekend and Arsenal lose, Liverpool are champions. Any other results, if Liverpool and Arsenal both win, it's going on to next week. Forest, 9th defeat of the season, 57 points, right back in that mix of Newcastle up into 4th after their big victory over Manchester United. City drop out of the top 4, but they're in the top 5 still. Manchester City on 55 points. Chelsea drop out of the top 5 after their draw with Ipswich. They're on 54 points, as are Aston Villa, who are behind Chelsea on goal difference. By far the worst goal difference of any of those sides in European contention are Villa, just +3 goal difference. Every other team in the top 6 has plus double figures at the very least. Bournemouth moving themselves up to 8th, 2 places above, 2 places up from where they started the evening on now 48 points and much better goal difference than those 2 other teams alongside them in Fulham and Brighton, who make up the top 10. Into the bottom half, 11th place are Brentford, as mid-table can be, 43 points, as are Crystal Palace after their result and defeat away at City at the weekends, 43 points apiece for those two. Everton, big win, 8th of the season for Everton, a number of them since David Moyes has returned. Only 2 defeats under David Moyes have Everton had since in the Premier League. That was away to Liverpool and at home to Villa, as their only 2 defeats under David Moyes are for Everton. Fantastic from the Toffees, 38 points, along with Man United, who dropped to 14th, also on 38. But look at how close those mix of teams are. Spurs on 37 and Wolves and West Ham both on 35. There is a world in which Man United and Spurs could be the lowest ranked teams that are not relegated come the end of the season. That is a very realistic possibility. And then Ipswich on 21, Leicester on 18, and already relegated Southampton still on 10. They're still on course to break that record of the lowest points finish ever in Premier League history. It currently stands at 11 points. They need just 1 draw from their final 6 games to equal that, to any more than that, and they will certainly not etch their names into unwanted history. Indeed, that is 32 games done, dusted. 6 to go then in this Premier League season. The race for Europe is very much on, and Bournemouth with a big win, their first in almost 2 months tonight. Could they be back in the fight? We'll see you in a week's time to find out if that's the case. See you at the weekend. Night night.